So what is the secret to be better in World of Tanks console? Well, there are multiple factors, but there's one super important or the key factor, and it's not what you think it is. So let's go over like the minute factors. A lot of people they talk about that to have better impact on the game, you need to play the best tanks. In for a situation, you have to have fire premium shells, as well as you need to know how to aim. You need to go with the team. You have to either snipe all the way or brawl all the way. There are different definitions for what different skill level of players says, but all of the have all of these factors have some impact, but they're not the main reason or not the main factor of what separates you from an average player to a very good player. Because in tanks, if you are an experienced or decent player, you can increase the chances of winning by 25 or 20% or 25% unless you're super good. So for example, if you're new at the game, your win rate will be about 45%, and as you get better it improves, and you can push it to 65% even if you're playing by yourself. So let's go with the small factors first. You always have more impact if you're a top tier tank. You always have benefit if you are firing premium shells. You always have benefit if you have the right crew skill, fully trained crew, as well as premium consumable. As all these things does is it doesn't directly have an impact that much, but it does reduce RNG. You obviously have better DPM, you obviously have better aim, you miss less shots, and you pen more if you fire the right ammunition at the right time. It doesn't mean if you don't have those you will play better, but if you're not running the premium consumables or premium ammo that you need, then the influence you'll have on the game will be about, instead of having 20-25%, it'll be down to 10 to 15%, as these different things are not that significant by itself. The key to the game of winning the game, it's simple. For example, in real estate, the main thing when buying a property is location, location, location. Similarly, in tanks, the main thing or main reason for you to win the game is positioning, positioning, positioning. It's not about what shells you have. It's not about if you have armor or not. It just comes down to positioning, and it applies to every class. For example, heavy tank, you have to be careful where you push. Always be slow to push, because once you commit, you can't really rotate out. In medium tank, you have more flexibility. You have camo, so you can position in and out of more aggressive position, and then back in cover. And of course, in TD, you want to take a in most of the tank destroyers, you want to take more of a sniper role and then use your HP towards the end of the game or when you need it. And that's the thing. You have to use a position for your tank. For heavies, you do need a support you can't hold by yourself, right? But the importance of positioning is you have to keep doing some damage early on, and then keep your HP so you can use it to make influence towards the end of the battle. And that's what we will see here. Because if you lose HP early on unnecessary on making blind pushes, you will not be able to trade that well towards the end of the game. So now, I have two replays for you, and we'll show the importance of positioning and how I was able to influence the game. Of course, the game started, I'm in a medium in Pilsen, not the best tank or not the best class for this map. It is one of the smaller maps in the game. So you have to rely on your camo as well as use your gun when the enemy is not looking. Of course, the tank is an autoloader, one of the best clips, or one of the best clip time. You could unleash your entire clip in 4.5 seconds, 4 shells. Of course, Waffle has better potential, but this tank for medium, it is the quickest at tier 10. Every other tank either have 2 seconds or longer than 2 seconds of interclip reload. The tank doesn't, it has the worst standard pen for tier 10 medium, or I think for tier 10 any tank, except the light. It is 248, you bounce a lot of shots with your standard. Heat isn't the greatest either, it is 310, however if you do aim you can pen every tank in the game, but sometimes they're not that exposing themselves. But if you aim at the weak spots, you can pen with the premium shells. So the game's 8-8, nothing special so far. I haven't done much damage, 2800 damage. I was using heat as most of the tanks were hull down, and I would have not pinned them with the standard shells. I decided to push that heavy tank at A3 as it's a tier 8. It was tempting to push because I thought I'll dump a clip in him, get an easy 1000 plus damage, but then I got spotted by the V4, decided to come back. I was going to make a bad play, but since I got spotted, I decided to not do that again. We took out another tank, MBTB. I noticed that a tank is pushing on F1, so their team will be distracted. But I forgot to mention one thing earlier. The thing about repositioning is you have to keep looking at the minimap, because repositioning doesn't mean just move right and left. For example, what I'm doing, I'm trying to go for that heavy again. I thought their team is distracted, but that didn't work out because they killed the tank that was flanking by himself. I think it was Conway, and I got spotted again, so I decided to come back. So yeah, going back to repositioning, it's about keep reading your minimap again and again. If you're not doing anything, if you're reloading, look at the minimap, see where the enemy is, see who they're focusing, see if you're in a position where you can rotate a couple blocks and help your teammate that need help. For example, that heavy, you're 100. I decided to come to a position where I could help him with the yak, maybe punish yak. It doesn't mean that I'll save the guy, but at least I can punish whoever is trying to go for that. Our heavy, he was obviously in a bad position, not in a cover. Get flanked through the middle though. The position was okay, but again, it is a risky position as you depend on your team to win the GH line. But that tank was confident heavy, and once he got to the position, he was stuck. So again, even I wouldn't have been able to save him, but at least if I punished the guy that jumped him, he would be a little bit more happier that the guy got punished. I now moved back to put some shots in the Yak Panther as it was his side. Do ended up pinning 3. Couldn't finish him. And at this point I noticed that Yag is one shot. They took out G-Source, score is 3v6, and they're about to jump our 2 tanks that are in the middle. I was hoping that if I would keep looking at Yag, and if Yag peeks he can take it off, but the backside is empty, and that's where I decided to utilize my HP. Again, looking in the minimap, go back to the position to help my team. There are 2 tanks, and since I was full health, I didn't want our tank destroyer to take a shot. I took a shot from V4 as well as Centuro. Would have been better if I only took 1 shot, but it didn't matter as I do take out the Centuro, and taking out guns was the important part. And Death Star took this opportunity and he took out the V4. If I hadn't taken those shots, Death Star could have taken a shot earlier and then might have died now. But that's where splitting your health comes in handy. Going for a shot for Yag, I think I took a shot, I'm not sure by who. A little bit exposed, I thought the guy who shot must be reloading, and I can use my quick entry clip to dump a full clip on Yak Tiger. And that's what it scores 2v4. They're about to jump our FV. Positioning again so I can punish them as they're jumping. However, I do make a mistake here. I talk about positioning, which kind of aligns with your awareness as well, right? But here I ended up loading 1 heat shell. If I had a full clip, I didn't realize I ran out of heat as I was spamming heat the entire game. I could have killed T-57 as well as punished the other heavy tank. Now I'm in a bad position because I'm less than half health. There are 4 enemy tanks, and I can't really play hull down as I have no armor. To make it worse, I also ran out of heat shells. That means I can't reliably pen T-57 or Yak Panther or even the BK, as the pen is not that greatest, including the Yak Tiger as well. Yak Panther got spotted. I thought I could pen his lower plate. It looked like a decent enough shot, but I ended up bouncing him as his lower plate might have been angled enough where my pen didn't, or my shell didn't go through, or could have resulted in lower pen roll. And that's where premium comes in handy, right? Because you reduces the RNG of having a low penetration roll. Not that you can aim anywhere with your premium shell and it'll pen. It just reduces RNG. It doesn't. If you just shoot premium, doesn't mean you'll just win the game by that logic. Positioning is what matters. Sharing your HP, awareness is what's going to win you the game. And again, to sum it all, right, awareness and positioning comes hand in hand. And this is where you'll see VK was pushing. He was spotted, so I kind of rotated, managed to dump a clip in him. He penned me once, but I was too much worried about the VK, but didn't realize I ended up ramming into the blockage. Yak Panther spotted me, so I know he's going to cut me off, so I decided to lose my spot and rotate back. One of the tank is capping, VK is not. I'm not sure where the last tank is, but I was hoping that since only one guy's on the cap, their second tank or the last tank might be going with Yag as well to spot me. So decided to go for VK, put shot in his back so I can take him out of the game without taking any damage, as by the time he'll turn, right, I can kill him. Closing in my distance, 1 minute on the cap, and since I've waited for my spot to lose the spot, Yag is still going in the wrong direction. He does get spotted now, and because as I said, I had this crew skill, I was able to outspot him without getting spotted. He has pretty bad crew, I can tell. VK moved up, he's closing into the cap as well. I rushed my first shot, missed, however, I did manage to take him out with my second and third shot shell. 38 seconds remaining. I can't go head on because that's where I was spotted. The tank on the cap will be looking straight at me. I gambled that I'll have enough time to go around, but at the same time I was worried that Yag might kill me. But since he had bad crew, I had enough faith that he might not be able to spot me. And once I'm in a position to shoot the guy on the cap, I'll have raids to cover myself. At 8,000 damage, still 1v3, 11 seconds down to cap, closing in, want to take my time because people can RBRT very effectively. And luckily T57 wasn't paying attention. I was not as in cover as I thought, but quickly moved forward to dodge his shot in the Yak Panzer E100. Again bounced another shot on his lower plate. That's the weakest spot for me, unless I want to go for a hatch. But at this distance when he's moving, not the easiest shot for me. Not much I can do against Yak except to flank him, so decided to close my distance. The Yak Tiger is not spotted. He's the guy that I panned earlier. Yak Panzer is closing in, so I decided to close my distance. Unfortunately, Yak Tiger gets spotted. I have 4 shots. He penned me. I rushed my shot, didn't fully aim, so for the next time I decided to fully aim my shots and took Yak Tiger out of the game as well. Now Yak Panzer is pushing. I waited for him to fully expose his lower, but he kind of angled away from me at the last second, and I ended up bouncing again. None of this would have happened if I had the heat shells, but again, as I said, those help, but the most crucial single attribute that decides if whether you'll win the game or not is your position. How you're helping the team, how you are using your HP at the right time. If you're just rushing in blindly in the beginning, that's not going to help anyone. I see a lot of messages that, well, you are sniping at the back, you're camping at the back. And I don't deny it, right? Like, depending on which map it is, I'm not going to go forward. Like, it's Pilsen. I'm not going to rush in front of heavies that are hull down when I'm going to bounce shots. Or if I'm in a leopard. For example, the last video that I posted. So there's a time to snipe, there's time to play semi-aggressive, and there's times to play aggressive and trade your HP. And it depends what tank you are playing. As you can see here, we were losing, we were in a pretty bad position. I didn't have much damage to begin with, and we managed to have a decent result for a medium tank in Pilsen, and also win a 1v4 situation against heavily armored tanks, or semi-heavily armored tanks, especially when I was out of shells. So, now moving on to our next map, again, the importance full repositioning. This time it's standard spawns. The last game it was alternate spawns. I prefer alternate spawns because it's more favorable for mediums. I can snipe more effectively, as well as the game lasts longer. Now this time it is not, it's your standard spawn, right? You don't know what can happen. They can either push 9 line, even their heavies, or they might just go 1-2 line. So there's no safe position for mediums. So your positioning is even more, you have to be top of your game to position yourself essentially. We have 4 guys or 5 guys including me. I had APCR loaded but switched to heat as I wasn't sure who's gonna be there. However, because of that I missed the opportunity to pen the Panzerjäger. And that's kind of comes in, that's where your situational awareness comes in. You have to decide where you're going, what you can expect, and what shells to load. If there are more lightly armored tanks you expect, you can go with APCR. If there are more armored tanks, you can go with your premium tanks. So I got spotted by the heavy tank. I couldn't fire through the wall as my shell would have been absorbed. But when I was coming back, I did make a mistake as I was very exposed. Luckily, I didn't get shot as they were not paying attention towards me. But I took the safest route to come back. So now trying to play a little bit more safe, helping my team. Then, like, my shell went somewhere. But I did pen Darkshaker twice and now managed to pen the Highlander. If I hadn't rushed my shot on Panzerjäger, I would have fanned the Highlander twice. So 900 damage. Seems like we are losing the 9-0 line, especially because they're two top tier tanks that are in platoon. They did not go 1-2 line. They're staying 6-7, the Highlander and 780. That makes things more difficult for me. Not to mention they have an E6. There's a Panzerjäger who's sniping and focusing, paying attention. Earthshaker, Tiger 2. But we also have a team that's holding. We have a heavy tank that's kind of holding. Sturv is down to one shot, so I'm trying to just help them at this point without losing much HP and punish enemy for their mistakes. For example, if they overpeak or overpush to kill our guys, I can punish them. But unfortunately for me, even though I wanted to help our guys, our Badger overcommitted, died. Our Sturv was spotted. He got punished by Earthshaker. Earlier he took shots from uh, Highlander as well. And after Badger at 257 also pushed forward and he died. Unfortunate for me now. I know this Earthshaker will commit for light tank, so decided to put 2 shots into him. Didn't cross right away. You'll notice, wait for your spotting indicator to go off. We do have this beautiful feature in Watt console where we know exactly when we're spotted and targeted, unlike PC, and we need to use it. So light tank comes back, loses spot, and managed to get back for free. Loading my heat shells again. They are closing in. Now this is where you'll notice we don't have anyone at G3. I was worried that we might die. I wanted to go in and cross, but at the same time, if I cross, I would give up on an angle. They just pin it on. I'll take damage as well. They just killed our artillery. We do have one TD and one light kind of holding that position. I was worried that the E6 might come behind me from 7-8, but this position was better as I had a decent cross. If they do end up pushing that TD, I'll dump a clip. So I decided to not gamble crossing and lose health and decided to make the best of this position. Still 2 tanks, and because it's just a tier 8 TD, the team does get more confident, especially because they're now winning on numbers. And at this point, as you can see, I'm just holding the angle, don't have the HP. Panzerjäger does end up spawning me. He knows where I am, but the guys in the, I forgot what you call that, in that open area, they were not paying attention. They pushed forward and I managed to punish them, put 3 shots, 2 into Highlander and 780, and they are too confident. Highlander was down to 1 shot, 1-5 to finish him. Our RU goes down. We're still losing, and my area, or where I'm playing, this is where they have more tanks. However, they're just concentrated on taking out those tier 8s and the medium and ignoring me. Not that they can do much to me, other they have to cross and take a shot from TD. 780 is pushing again. He fired, waited for him to fire. He was confident that it's just a tier 8 and he can take a shot. I bounced 1 shot and Panzerjäger is coming, and luckily, and sometimes you do need a luck, you can only do that much. The guy missed 2 shots and I was confused. I was like hoping just miss 1 more, and he missed another shot. This was a blessing. I could only do that much on my part, and then he do ended up panning 1 shot into me. I thought I'll kill him. I overpeak, still not reloaded. Really wanted to take him out so he doesn't do this circle again when I'm reloading. However, he ended up panning me again, ammo-wrecking me, and I wasn't able to finish him. Didn't matter as AVRE to come out of the game. And since now I have AVRE, I don't have to worry about getting pushed over on that side, because no one can push AVRE without getting full penned or set on fire or worse. Or at the very least losing 500 to 600 health even when you're micro peeking. Panzerjäger's dead, no one can really push me, and I do end up with 4900 damage. The things were not looking great, but again, you just pay attention to the map. You take position that can help you. It doesn't have, like, one position doesn't work in every situation. Everything is relevant. It depends on where your team is. You can't win by yourself, even though we say it's 1v29, but you need to play in a way where you can use your enemy or play, not use your enemy, use your tank or your tanks in the team, even if they're like new, or help your teammates. Maybe use this too aggressive word. By helping, it doesn't mean you always have to just throw your tank away. By help, you can also help them surviving longer. For example, what that ISU was doing, right? He is a tier 8, doesn't have the best armor, but he was baiting shots, I was punishing them, and then they were in a cross in a terrible position and ended up costing the push. Now we're losing again. It was a 4-4 even, but our team got, I guess, too confident. Then maybe they can win. We lost another tank. Now closing in for artillery so I can finish artillery as well as the Tiger 2. Artillery gets spotted. If I average roll, I should be able to kill the artillery. I did. I needed a high roll to kill Tiger 2. As my alpha is 320, he's still not paying attention because, well, we don't know why he wasn't paying attention. Focused on AVRE, and I ended up high rolling and taking him out of the game as well, and 6900 damage. Again, both the games were on Pilsen, not the most favorable. I was top tier, not denying it, but I was not in the best of situation to make the best out of this tank. The tank does have pros and cons as well. It isn't the best tank in the game. It isn't the worst either, right? I would say it's probably 75% or 80% of the top tanks for tier 10. But when it comes down to this map, then that goes to maybe 50-60%. That's how much impact you can have, or how much you could rate this tank out of all the available tier 10s. So going back, I know that E4 was spotted at 8-2. The E6 was in the middle. I do have enough HP to take a shot from either 2 shots from E6 or 1 from E4. Feeling pretty confident now because our AVR did came back to help us. And I'm very certain they can't really do much to AVRE either, as AVRE will always come out on top during trading. So when the game started, I was at H9. We went back to H4, and then we came back to H9 again. In the last game, when we had diagonal spawn, I kind of played around the 9 line for the most part because that's where I was safe, that's where I could have helped my team. But in this spawns, you have a different areas you need to play. Just because where the spawns are, where you spawn. E4 gets spotted. I get greedy here. I put a shot into him. I could have moved right. I didn't. Took a shot from E4. I do track him though. But since I said I was confident that I can pen him, I kind of took that shot. Or I was confident that I can take a shot, and I ended up taking it. AVRE shot him again when we was tracked, so I do get that track damage. I rushed my 3rd shell, as I wasn't aimed at his engine tech, so I missed that, but I do end up penning the 4th shot. Even in this round, I do ended up running out of heat shells. As in a small engagement, as I said, you do need that, right? So in summary, what I think is the secret to play better of World of Tanks, especially when you're playing solo. First is your positioning. Second is your awareness, which are closely tied with each other. And after that, if you really want to kind of push it to the top, you need to make sure you're playing with a 9 skill commander. You need to make sure you have enough premium shells you need for the situation. Also, you need to make sure you have the camo paint on your tank for that extra few meters of advantage, and also premium consumable, especially food. Food is the most important or the strongest consumable, especially when active. The other consumable pretty standard. I run large med and repair kit as well. Some people run fire extinguisher. There is obviously a trade-off. If you run food, you can't run fire extinguisher, especially when you get some fire. But that's a risk I'm willing to take because just try your best to not be in a position where you can get some fire, but it doesn't always work, especially when you're against TDs. So let me know, what do you think of it? What do you think is the most important factor when it comes down to winning? Is there another secret recipe that you use to win more games, or to get out of that black hole of a losing streak? Of course, as I said, there are certain pay-to-win tanks that have higher win rate, but again, the most important component or secret to winning is positioning. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.